Welcome to the OSLC Connect for Jira training. I'm Robert Polarion. Today we're going to talk about creating repository connections between Jira and Polarion to be able to get you started with using our OSLC Connect for Jira adapter, as well as doing project association. So you can show how to connect projects in Polarion with projects in Jira and some of the basics about OSLC mapping. And we'll do this interactively, so very video heavy content. So let's get to it. Let's show it live. We're going to start out on our configuration and making our repository connections. We have to make those bidirectionally, so between Jira and Polarion, and then Polarion back to Jira. The nice thing about OSLC tools, they have a common way for us to be able to create these types of configurations. They're called friends and consumers. So let me start out by going to the configuration options for OSLC Connect. You need to be a Jira admin to be able to do this. So let's log in as our Jira admin, and we're going to see our OSLC Connect options over here. So let's go to our friends. You'll see here in my friend setup that I actually have many different friends here to different servers, some different Polarion servers, as well as some different IBM servers. And so we're going to just go ahead and register a new friend. In this case, we're going to make a new Polarion server. I got a Polarion 21 R2 server that I can use. What we need to do is we need to provide, most importantly, the root services URI. So this is simply a directory to the services being provided by our Polarion system. So we can go ahead and be able to select these OSLC services and be able to define how to be able to connect to them. We also have to be able to provide a simple secret. Basically, when we're using OAuth, there's a key and a secret. This works as kind of like a lightweight password to be able to make that connection. And we're going to tell it to create a provisional, meaning that it's going to create a provisional key that needs to be approved on the Polarion side, and we simply need to approve it. So I can go ahead and register this. It's going to actually look up that root services document. It's going to use the directory services to understand how to create a provisional key. And if we actually are an admin on Polarion, we can actually click on this option and get an embedded dialog to go ahead and do this approval on the Polarion server as well. And so I can show you how we can do that. We log in, and then we can actually approve this request. And now we actually have an approved friend request. And if I actually do a refresh here, we're going to be able to see our Polarion 21 R2. It's in a green status, meaning that everything is okay and it's ready to go. Now, most of the time we aren't both a Jira admin and Polarion admin, so we'll have to be able to collaborate together. So the more normal course of action would be is if we're the Jira admin, we're going to go ahead and register this friend, same process as we had before, and register that. It will communicate to Polarion. It will set aside to this provisional key. So this is the feedback from Polarion saying that this key ending in 1CD is the one that we want to be able to use with Polarion. And I'm going to contact the Polarion admin and tell them they need to go to the OAuth consumers in Polarion and be able to approve that key. Now, I have this web page up for Polarion. So in our Polarion servers and Polarion OSLC services, OAuth approved key, we're going to be able to find what consumers have actually been approved already, as well as what are called pending consumers. So that request that we made would be a pending consumer. So their admin would be able to come in here. They'd see this request. That's the 1CD that we had before. They can change the name of this or whatever they want, and then they want to be able to approve that. Once we do that approval, if I come back and be able to refresh this list, we'll be able to see that this 21R2 is all okay. This is being able to validate that that key is successful. It's been approved. It's ready to go, and we can connect from Jira to Polarion. Now, occasionally we do make mistakes when we're trying to make these connections. We'll try to be as good as possible to provide you some hints to this, but I do want to show you a couple examples of this. One of those is I have actually a leading space. Oftentimes we'll see something like leading space or a leading tab that's in our root services URL because we're copying from someplace else. If that happens, you'll see some errors in here talking about some invalid characters. Make sure you go through here, check to be able to make sure that you've cleared that up. You remove those leading spaces or trailing spaces. Those are a common issue. Other common issues might be things like instead of root services, you have root service. When we go to register this, we're going to find out that we can't find that document. Whenever you see that, can't find that document error, look at this issue, be able to verify that URL is actually correct and targeting the right source, and be able to check to be able to see that's there. Also, you might see something where suddenly we have HTTP instead of HTTPS. Just be aware that this obviously is going to be very sensitive to what information you put in there. It's looking to be able to go find those directory services, and we'll try to give you hints as best as possible on what the issue might be. But talk to your Polarion admin to be able to make sure that you have the correct root services document to be able to get connected to. Now we have the Jira friend in place. We want to get the Polarion to Jira friend in place. So we're going to start as the Polarion admin. We need to go to our general administration pages to be able to do these configurations. So in the global configurations, we'll find a linked data option here and linked data friends. Very similar to what we have on the Jira side, we need to be able to add a new friend and be able to add that connection in here. Same concept before. So we're going to add our Jira server. We're going to have a secret that we have to do. Polarion's a little bit nicer. It only has this type as in once. And we need to have that URL. So this is actually the root services URL of Jira. And so your Jira admin should be able to provide that to them. If they ever have questions, you can always give them hints that they'll find it on their consumer page within their administration. We'll be able to see this down in the bottom here. So it's your Jira server REST OSLC 1.0 root services, and they can copy this to clipboard and message that to you. So we can go ahead and put that URL in, and we're going to get the same type of option to be able to in here. We'll get a provisional key. If I am, like I am right now, already logged in, I can have this option to be able to approve this. If I'm not the admin, you'll always be able to see over here in the consumers. I can be able to refresh this. We should be able to see in the provisional keys up here, there's our request that we want to be able to approve, and we can always approve it here, or we could have approved it over here in our Polarion dialog as well. Always know that you can go approve those on the Jira page, and that's going to be able to make sure that that access is going to be provided and that key is ready to be able to be used. Now that we have our friend associations in place, now we can let our project admins get to making project associations. So project associations are the way in which we structure an enterprise. So within Jira, we can see on a given project, we have some OSLC Connect features, project associations, namely. In here, we can add relationships between a specific Jira project and a specific Polarion project. So in this case, I can go ahead and add an association. I can pick my friend. So let's go ahead and pick my Polarion 21R2 that I had before. And then from a Jira perspective, I can pick the different types of associations I want. This is actually coming from what services that Polarion says it supports. In this case, my Polarion server supports requirements management, change management, as well as quality management. It gives me options to be able to select which of these services I want to support and what link types I want to create. In this case, I might want to do, let's do some implementation requests. So say we're going to implement requirements from Polarion. and we can go ahead and then pick which project we want to do that in. In fact, we can actually select multiple projects at the same time and add those associations. And this means I can now create relationships to my requirements in Polarion. I can also, if I want to, add another association like I'm going to do here to allow me to have relationships to change management artifacts as well. So in this case, maybe I want to do related change requests. I'm going to go ahead and pick that same project, but you could pick a different project as well and add those associations. Once we do that, we're a long way to be able to create our first OSLC links. So we can go ahead and go to our issues page. Let's go ahead and create a new issue. And we'll just create a simple task here in this project. And let's create our first link. It's the best way to be able to validate that everything is all connected the way we expect. So if we go to the link dialog, collaboration link, now you're going to see those implements relationships that I allowed, those change requirements relationships I allowed. So now if I pick implements requirement, link to existing, I'm going to get a Polarion dialog that allows me to select a requirement artifact. And we can go ahead and create our first link and validate that our connection between Jira and Polarion works the way we expected. There's a rich preview. We can be able to even expand this further and be able to see that relationship to our artifact. It's just that simple. All right, so let's create our project association from Polarion to Jira now. So this allows Polarion to have access to Jira artifacts, create relationships to them. So let's go ahead and start out by going to our configuration. We'll be able to see some of these options under administration, and under linked data, we're going to see linked data associations. This is where we'll be able to pick a project that we want to connect to, and we can even add multiple projects. Polarion is going to be a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and simply create a single relationship to a project, and then any of the artifacts that are contained within, we can create links to. So let's go ahead and pick my folder 21R2. This is the opposite direction that we had before, and we can go ahead and create these links. So once we have that project association in there, it means when we actually go back to our project, we should be able to go into, let's go to our system requirements specification. We can go find a requirement and we can create a link to a Jira artifact. So let's just pick a random requirement down here. If we go to this requirement, we can go on to the edit links. Usually we're going to be able to do something like implemented by. That should be an OSLC link. We'll be able to notice this with this icon here. And then we're able to pick an existing artifact within Jira and be able to select the dialog here. So let's look for our item that we just did before. So Polarion, our sample task here. We can create a link to that artifact, save, and now we have a live link to our Jira artifact, as well as if I navigate over to that Jira artifact, we're going to see that link back into Polarion. So that item 413. So that should show as simple as it is to be able to create those project associations and get you up and started. So a couple final thoughts on setting up your Polarion to Jira environment. Polarion is very flexible when it comes to OSLC. And I can show you a bit here if we go to our global configurations. Let's go ahead and see these options. Within linked data, we've talked about friends already. Linked data semantics is actually really important. What this does is it just describes the OSLC domains that it supports. You'll see in my configuration here, CM, RM, and QM are all supported OSLC domains, and that's why we saw the change in the quality and the requirements management accessible by our Jira system. And this is entirely flexible by the admin. So you can declare which different semantics there are, what domains are being supported, what link types are being supported to what resource types. So you have a lot of freedom to be able to declare the different OSLC services that Polarion might provide, both the standard as well as custom. And if you're either missing artifacts or want a different type of semantics, this is where you'd be able to go and take a look at it. And we'd recommend that you review the Siemens help to be able to take most advantage of that. In addition, the other level to be able to take a look at is the linked data mapping. And so what this does, it allows us to be able to take a specific OSLC type, so think of something like a requirements artifact, and then map it to a particular Polarion type. So we know that your Polarion system has lots of flexibility in the different types and artifacts it creates. We're allowed to be able to map those OSLC resources to specific Polarion types. This is how Polarion determines which resources will be available from those pickers from within Jira, as well as you get to do the same with those link role mapping. So this way allows you to be able to say that your link types that you have within Polarion are related to these different types of OSLC links. And this is the configuration that you can do. You can make these changes. The semantics are going to be global across your entire repository. You'll find that the link data mapping can be customized on a per project basis, although we recommend you being as consistent as possible with that. Helps all your users best understand, helps your teams be able to better debug. If you want to find out more information, we have put together information on our standard help page. Just look for Polarion mapping, and you should be able to search and be able to find things like how to plan your Polarion mappings to Jira, or some more details on configuration of these services. So the things that I just talked about, we'll spell those out in more detail, and you can take advantage of our help documents to do that. So if you have any questions, always available for us to reach out to. And good luck with working with Jira and Polarion. Thanks for taking time with our short Jira training. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our team. We're happy to be able to help you in your configuration of your environment.